As the body fails, you would expect the mind to dim with it. Instead, near the end, something stranger happens. The visions do not fade, they intensify, and they turn, almost as one, toward the dead. In one study, doctors followed 59 dying patients all the way to the end, not once, but across hundreds of conversations. 88% reported at least one vivid dream or vision. And as death drew closer, they did not stop. They grew more frequent and turned more and more toward people who had already died. There seems to be a sequence to the end, not of the body, but of the mind. First, the honest part. There is no fixed clock. No two deaths follow the same timetable, and even doctors cannot say when. But across many patients, a pattern appears. It runs something like this. It begins quietly, often weeks out. The dying sleep more. They pull inward, less interested in the world, more interested in something the rest of us can't see. Then the language changes. Hospice nurses hear talk of travel, of packing, of getting ready to leave, and more, the mention of someone who came before. Nearer the end, the visitors arrive. Not strangers, the dead, parents, spouses, the long gone, described as present in the room. And these are the visions patients rate as the most comforting of all. And sometimes, hours before the end, there is a turn no one expects. A sudden clarity, a last lucid hour with the person you thought was already gone. After that, the mind begins to recede. Deep sleep. Fewer words. And here we tell the truth. It is not always peaceful. Some grow restless or confused in the final hours. That too is part of the end, and it is not the same as the quiet visions. The clinical view holds all of this together. A failing brain, low on oxygen, shaped by illness and medication, letting go in a predictable order. But one thing about that order is hard to place. As the brain fails, the visions grow clearer and kinder, the opposite of ordinary confusion. And at the very end, one thread seems to hold longest. In one study, patients who no longer responded to anything still showed a flicker of brain activity to a familiar voice. A response, not proof they understood, but perhaps the last door to close. We are not here to tell you what it means. Maybe this is simply the order in which a mind lets go. Or maybe, in these last days, the mind is not shutting down so much as turning towards something and someone we cannot see. If someone you love is nearing the end, knowing this sequence can turn fear into understanding, there's a free family guide linked below. And if these case files stay with you, subscribe and follow the record with us. This is a documentary, not medical or grief advice, and there is no fixed timetable. Every death is different. The pattern is real, and it is documented. The explanation is still open. The question is not whether the mind changes at the end. It does. It is why, as everything else fails, the mind so often turns, not toward fear, but toward the faces it loved. We open the records. You decide who was waiting.